Welcome to the Sportscast. September 7th, 2018. Football has started last week, week one of college football. Last night, NFL began. The Eagles defeated the Atlanta Falcons. But we're going to discuss a little bit more college football on this show, and we'll push over to NFL a little bit later. And to join us is Ty Turner. Welcome to the Sportscast.
What's up, man?
So, Ty, great games last weekend. You were commenting on our chat last week, and the biggest game I thought was Washington-Auburn. Auburn defeated Washington 21-16. What are your thoughts?
It was a very good game. It was a very entertaining game. It was kind of a tale of, I would say, kind of a tale of like three games. The beginning of the game, Auburn came out super amped. Obviously, the game was in Atlanta. That's about, I don't know how far. It's a couple hours from the Auburn campus. So it was basically a home game because Washington's coming across the country. Auburn's literally right there. They were super amped, and you could just see it, the emotion. Their front seven was just getting after Jake Browning and the rush game of Washington. Washington really wasn't doing anything. And then their offensive line was just attacking Washington's defense. And, Auburn just really jumped out and looked really good. It could have been, at the beginning of the game, it was like 9-0, I believe, and 9-3, but it felt like it was like 28-3. Auburn was really dominating defense, offense, statistically. But then all of a sudden it changed. And probably about the second quarter until through the fourth quarter, Washington really was the team that was making big plays in the pass game. Tyus Jones, I forgot what number, Fuller. It was Maurice
Aaron
Spiker.
Fuller, number 2, Aaron Fuller.
Aaron Fuller, Tyus Jones, the other receiver. I think Spiker, the freshman, if I'm correct, Samples at tight end.
Yeah.
All making just a bunch of plays. And then even some good runs by like Savon Ahmad, the backup. And it felt like Washington was just dominating. But neither team were really good in the red zone. Both teams were not very good in the red zone. Auburn wasn't very good with special teams. And I think ultimately that made the game kind of balance it out. And in the end, Auburn won. But it was a very close game. It was very big momentum shifts. If they were to play, like, let's say, I don't know, in like Dallas or somewhere more neutral, might even been a little better for Washington. So I don't know. It was a good game. It was a very good game. I would say Auburn showed they have a good front seven. I mean, it was tough to get good rushing game going, and they got good pressure on Browning. And I think Washington showed they have good receivers, guys that can make plays in the pass game, and they have good running backs. They look a little weak on the O-line. And they lost. Adams was gone for the game, and he ends up being gone for the season. Trey Adams, who's a projected first-round draft pick, an all Pac-12 guy. So big loss for Washington. And Auburn doesn't look good in the defensive backfield. They're playing a converted wide receiver at corner. They just didn't look great. They just were not making plays in the ball in the defensive backfield. So I think both teams showed that they could play a good game, but I also think that both teams showed a lot of like holes in their respective rosters. I think Washington, because of their weaker conference, will be able to overcome it. I think Auburn's a team that I think they could finish 4th or 5th in the SEC West. They didn't look as good. They're not as good as Alabama. They're not as good as Georgia. And I don't think they're as good as LSU. And maybe not even Mississippi State. So I could see Auburn definitely being an 8-4 team this year. I think Washington, just because Pac-12 is weaker, will be projecting them to be about like 10-2, maybe 9-3, but probably 10-2. But it was a good game.
Yeah, it was. It had that feeling of a bowl game. Auburn had some bad luck at that stadium. They lost twice before, and they came back and won. And they really potentially we'll see what happens, and throughout the season, we'll see how far they'll go. But you're right; they might not win the SEC West, but it's still Auburn. You never know.
I'd be shocked if they won. I would be shocked if they even finished in the top 3. To be honest with you,
right now,
I just don't think they're as good as the other teams. Look at I mean, we can go on to Alabama later, but yeah, they're not even in the same league as Alabama. I don't think they're even in the same league as Georgia.
No.
And then LSU look pretty good.
Yeah, but okay. To the LSU Miami game, what'd you think? You think LSU was underrated?
Oh, very underrated. Their defense is legit. Their front seven is great. I mean, they did lose the one linebacker for the season, but and the defensive backfield, they have just playmakers on all levels, and they really controlled that game. And I think Joe Burrows is a good pickup at the quarterback position. He just didn't make a lot of mistakes. He didn't have great, amazing numbers, but he just made very limited mistakes, and he made some timely plays. And I think he's a pretty good leader. I think that LSU is going to be pretty good. I don't know if they're going to beat Alabama. They have Auburn here in a couple weeks. They play. I think it's at Jordan-Hare.
That's a key match. Auburn. That's a key match.
Yeah, but I think LSU's pretty good. They destroyed Miami. That game wasn't even as close as the final score. I mean, they dominated. Jake Rozier couldn't do anything.
I mean, as a Miami fan, do you think this is kind of like, okay, once you lost that game, it's over, for the season, or you think they still need to just win it out and see what happens?
I mean, I think they're going to do fine. They're going to definitely win a lot of games, but I didn't love how they looked. They looked kind of anemic offensively. It didn't see much in the run game. They also have some holes on defense, more so than I thought. LSU was able to make plays, both running and passing the ball, that I didn't think was going to really happen. And they looked a little flat in that game. I mean, it was LSU. It kind of felt a little more like a home game for LSU because it was in Cowboy Stadium. It's closer to LSU, so LSU definitely had more fans there. So it felt a little more like they're emotionally more charged. Also, a little disrespected by their low rating. But they just really dominated them offensively, defensively, both sides of the line. And then, I don't know, Rozier, at the end of, Rozier, however you say his name. I know he changed it.
It's French.
But he makes too many mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I noticed that at the end of last season against, Pitt and Clemson game, and even in the bowl game, and now this, I just don't think he's just a quarterback that makes too many mistakes. You can't be throwing pick sixes. You can't. I mean, those are just big time mistakes. It's just hard to come back from. And I just don't know if they have anyone better at the quarterback position. So I don't know. I could see Miami rebounding, having an okay year, but I don't even because Virginia Tech. They're not, in my opinion, they're not as good as Virginia Tech.
No,
I mean, I don't think they're as good at the quarterback position.
Which we're going to segue to that game right now. What a win against FSU at Tallahassee. What'd you think about that?
Great game plan by Bud Foster, number one. Pretty much starting all young guys, and they just at Tallahassee, first game of the season, start of the Willie Taggart era, sold out crowd. Yet they came out and looked flat. While Virginia Tech, on the road, young defense, came out and just plain and simple had more juice than Florida State. Made all the big plays. Florida State was in the goal. How many times were they in the red zone and they didn't even come away with anything? It was just. I mean, it's just a better coached, more emotionally charged team than Florida State. And Florida State couldn't run the ball. Florida State was pretty anemic in the pass game. Mistakes by Francois, especially in the second half. And I tell you what, I know Willie Taggart. I'm a Oregon Duck fan. He left Oregon after 1 year. And, last year it was always at times in the second half, he didn't make adjustments to games. Also, when he didn't have Justin Herbert, the team was terrible. They were 1-4, got blown out by Stanford, Washington, etc. And you know what? Like, it seems that he doesn't have a real stud. Like at South Florida, he was not good the first 2 years. Then Quentin Flowers comes along, and he had a good last 2 seasons because Quentin Flowers was a stud. Quentin Flowers was great last year under Charlie Strong. And then the same kind of with Justin Herbert at Oregon. He was good when Herbert was in there. But so unless he has just a bona fide star at the quarterback position, he really seems to struggle offensively, which he's an offensive guy. That's where he was an offensive, he was quarterback coach, running back coach, quarterback coach under Jim Harbaugh. He was an offensive coordinator at Western Kentucky. He then became the head coach at Western Kentucky. He's an offensive guy. He's the guy that calls the plays on offense. And yet, if he doesn't have a bona fide star at the quarterback position, it showed at South Florida, it showed at Oregon last year, and it showed at Florida State on Monday, that he really doesn't do anything offensively. Like, Florida State just doesn't, like, their offense didn't really have any, there wasn't really any, what's the word I want to look for, particular game plan on offense. Like, they couldn't run, they couldn't pass, there wasn't a lot of trickery going on to try to get some momentum going. So is
FSU in trouble?
To be something to hinge on. I think they are. Like, because I'm going to go back. Willie Taggart's the play caller. Willie Taggart's offensive line, and if he does not have that it guy at the quarterback position to lean on that'll just make plays, he has shown throughout his career he struggles to have an offensive identity. That's the word I'm looking for. Offensive identity. They didn't have an offensive identity. And no, I don't think Francois is it. I mean, I always thought he was a little overrated. He's coming off of a knee injury, and I don't think he has that it quarterback. He's playing in the ACC. He has to play Clemson. He has to play Miami. He has to play even a Boston College. It's pretty good. He has to play good teams without that it quarterback and without a true offensive identity. I think this is going to be a disappointing year for Florida State. And I think people are going to be like, should we have hired Willie Taggart? Should we have hired a 47-51 below 500 lifetime coach? Is he a little overrated? I think he is. I think he's a great recruiter. But like I said, if he does not have that it factor at quarterback, he struggles.
Well,
so there you go.
Virginia Tech defeated FSU 24-3. Our next game, Oregon beating Bowling Green 58-24. We saw your quarterback flexing his muscles.
Obviously, this game probably would not be mentioned, but I'm an Oregon fan. So
why not, right? Only on the Sportscast.
Yeah. Because Oregon's first 3 games is basically against they're playing quote unquote hashtag blind schools. Oregon, yeah, I mean they won easily. They started extremely slow. By the way, they looked extremely, talking about coming out a little flat. The first quarter, they came out a little flat.
They lost the first quarter.
They were actually down 10-0. Now, if you want to talk about Justin Herbert, did you see those highlights I sent you?
I did not see it.
I sent you those highlights and you didn't even look at them.
I got to see it right now. Let me.
Okay, so see, you need to get up on your Pac-12, Santiago. You're the one that was saying JT Daniels is the number one, which you'll see how he does against Stanford this week. We'll get to see how your number one quarterback does. But anyways, Justin Herbert just made some legit throws. The one touchdown, his first touchdown, he threw from the 40-yard line, about 10 yards deep into the end zone. He threw a line drive over 2 defenders to his receiver. Even the very first pass of the game he threw a 40-yard rope. His receiver dropped it. He actually had 5 drops by his receivers in the game. 2 of them were touchdowns. One guy was running scot-free, 30-yard rope, straight up drop. Another one, 20 yards out of the end zone, line drive, slant route, dropped it in the end zone. Another one, he had a 40-yard throw over the defender, guy dropped it. I mean, he had seriously 5 drops. On one of his interceptions, the guy was supposed to stop and cut in. Instead, he just stopped and ran into the defender, and then the ball went over the receiver's shoulder into the safety. But the receiver is supposed to be there to catch the ball. So when you look at the PFF, which shows it shows what actually the quarterback did, not what the receivers did. So if receivers are dropping balls, missing on routes, Justin Herbert was the number 1 quarterback in the nation when it came to long ball accuracy. So he had a really, really good game. He had 5 touchdowns. He had 10 completions. 5 of them were for touchdowns. If they would have caught the other 2 balls, he would have had 7 touchdowns. He's the best arm talent in college football. And I'm telling you, anybody. No one in college football is a better arm talent than Justin Herbert. No one can throw a 70-yard line drive. A ball 70 yards with literally no air under it. Just straight, bullet, 70 yards. He has an arm that's comparable to a Josh Allen from last year. And that's why scouts are just loving him. Does he have stuff to work on? Yeah, he does. He needs a little more touch on his balls. It's part of the reason why he has drops. Part of it is the receiving core is pretty average for Oregon. They don't have a great receiving core. So he needs to put a little more touch on it. But when it comes to just having an arm talent, and then to add that in, Justin Herbert is really athletic. I mean, he took a run pass option, RPO. He kept the ball and he took it 40 yards. And when he runs, you're like, he doesn't look that fast, but he's running away from defensive backs, linebackers. I mean, he just runs away from them. I wouldn't be surprised when he does his time at the combine if he was at least a sub 4.7, maybe even a sub 4.6. I mean, he's always one of the fastest guys in the field. In the spring game, he ran down the linebacker from behind and caught him. So I mean, he's a tremendous athlete. He's 6'6", 240, rocket arm. If you just want to watch one of the most talented quarterbacks in college football, you just watch Justin Herbert, and I don't think anyone that has more natural ability than him. There's some guys that have that it factor, kind of. You got Will Grier for West Virginia. He's a very good college quarterback. You got Tua Tagovailoa for Alabama. He's a tremendously skilled, talented college quarterback. I don't know who else.
He is the quarterback of the future. Their next big game is against Stanford. I think we'll see what happens this weekend with Tannehill. So, but I'll take him anyways, either whatever happens this season. U.S. Open. The semifinals are going to begin very soon. Nadal de Potro at 4 p.m. today. What are your thoughts about the U.S. Open? We're done. Unless you have some final words to say about college football. Oh, that's right. Which Harbaugh has never beaten Notre Dame yet. Go for it, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Came out, their offense was terrible. For one, Jim Harbaugh didn't change his offense. So you got Shea Patterson's kind of a Johnny Manziel-ish kind of quarterback. A dual threat, can run, kind of a gunslinger. And he ran very much a pro-style offense. And they were getting beaten up front. Notre Dame's front seven were beating Michigan's line. And so it wasn't working. So it would be a perfect opportunity to open up the playbook, and he did not. So basically, Jim Harbaugh stuck to his guns and lost. He's hyped to have this huge season, and he lost. And you have guys like Braylon Edwards, UMM alum, that was just going after him on Twitter. Just like saying it was garbage how the O-line was playing, garbage how Shea Patterson was playing, garbage how Jim Harbaugh was calling that game. And it was a very disappointing opening game by Michigan. And I think Notre Dame looked pretty good. Notre Dame, Brandon Wimbush looks solid at quarterback position, and Notre Dame has a solid front seven, especially. So I think you could expect some good things from Notre Dame. They have a tough schedule as always, but I think they'll make some noise. And I think Michigan is going to be in for a long year if they don't change stuff. They're going to struggle against teams like Wisconsin, Penn State, and Ohio State.
How do you see the Big Ten now?
Michigan State, too. I mean, after 1 week, you can't make this rash rush to, like, woo, like, boom, like, here's the end-all, be-all. But I think Michigan, if they don't change their offensive philosophy, they're in trouble. And I don't get why they would go out and get the Shea Patterson dual-threat type guy and keep running a pro-style offense. That doesn't make logical sense. So if they don't change things, I think they could I mean, I'm not looking at the schedule right now, but they are playing some tough teams. And if they don't change things, especially how they're up front got beaten, they could end up having an 8-4 year. And if he has an 8-4 type season, you're going to start hearing rumblings of, is Jim Harbaugh the right guy?
Yeah.
Because with all the talent he has coming back, especially on defense, the transfer of Shea Patterson, if they end up with having a season like last year or even worse, you're going to start hearing, is Jim Harbaugh the right guy? He's currently, I think, on a four-game losing streak, too, going back to last season. So he needs to change things up. It's going to hurt him recruiting. He already had his worst recruiting class last year, and your momentum's going to start just going down, and he'll hop off to the NFL or something. So, I'm still going to stay. Penn State didn't look great, but they won. Michigan State didn't look great, but they won. Wisconsin and Ohio State look pretty good. I could definitely. I'm sticking with Penn State. I'm sticking with Wisconsin. Ohio State's definitely a team to watch out for. Dwayne Haskins is a good-looking quarterback. I didn't see anyone really challenging Wisconsin so far, but Nebraska didn't get to play, so we'll see them. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Michigan has to change something up. What they did last week, just plain and simple, what didn't work.
Do you think Harbaugh is more of an NFL coach?
I'm beginning to wonder, man. I would have said because he was a good recruiter that he was going to do well in college, but I mean, he especially, it doesn't seem to be working right now. So he needs to change something up. Otherwise, I don't know. Might have to go a different direction. It's definitely not looking great right now, and he's competing in a very, very tough conference. A lot of good teams.
Here's the top 10. Here is what the AP poll says. Number 1 is Alabama. Number 2 is Clemson. Number 3 is Georgia. 4 is Ohio State. 5 is Wisconsin. 6 Oklahoma. 7 Auburn. 8 Notre Dame. 9th Washington. 10th Stanford. 11th LSU. 12th Virginia Tech. 13th Penn State. West Virginia 14, and Michigan State 15th. How do you see the poll right now?
I mean, it's early. So, Alabama's definitely number 1. Number 2 is that Clemson. I don't disagree. Clemson has a tough game against Texas A&M this week at Kyle Field. I think they're going to win, though. I don't think Texas A&M is a talent. Number 3, number 4 is Ohio State, correct? And number 3 is Georgia.
Yes.
Georgia has a tough game against South Carolina at Columbia. That's a tough game. So two of the top 5 teams have tough games, so we'll see a little more about them. And then, Stanford at number 10 has a tough game against USC, who's 17th. So you're going to see a little bit more how it works out. I would have dropped Washington out of the top 10 because I don't like them. I'm just kidding. No, but I just think, you lose your opening game. I think that probably should have dropped out.
Me too. I was surprised. They probably gave him a whole lot of grace for that.
Yeah, I don't think they're better than LSU. I don't think they're better than Virginia Tech necessarily. I just don't think they showed enough on the offensive and defensive lines to say that they're as good as them right now. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm definitely liking. I'm liking where teams are at. The matchups coming up. There's some great games. There's a couple top 25 games this week, or teams that are in the top 25 playing teams right outside that are good. And then I looked at next week, I looked ahead, and there's going to be like 3 or 4 top 25 matchups. So the next 2 weeks, you're going to see a lot more. You're going to know a lot more about teams, and we'll get a little more clear view of the top 25.
You want to go through predictions for college football?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just go for it. Well, actually, we'll hold off for that for now, and we'll just touch on the U.S. Open. Roger Federer ousted. Are you shocked?
He was looking a little flat, even coming into the U.S. Open. It's a hot, humid, very tough conditions. He's getting older. He's plain and simple getting older. He's 37. And when I saw him in that match, he looked a little flat, to be honest with you. He just looked a little off. More so, and the other guy played very well, Millman. So, no, I wasn't super shocked. And I think it's setting up for a Djokovic Nadal final.
Yeah.
But Nadal had a tough match last one. He had to play 5 sets. He gets a couple days off. Maybe he's going to recover. But we'll see. I think he's a tough match with Del Potro.
He's also older as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Djokovic hasn't had the toughest tournament. He hasn't had to play long matches. I love Novak Djokovic. It's my favorite tennis player.
He's going to win this. You know it.
I think he beats Nishikori. He normally does. He did lose to him in the U.S. Open a few years ago, though. I think it's going to be Nadal versus Djokovic. I'm going to go Djokovic because I would anyways. But I actually think he's had the smoothest ride. He's had to play the least amount of games. He had kind of a weird match the other day, though. He looked really off at times. Even though he won in straight sets, it was kind of weird. It was kind of a weird match. You would watch it. And Djokovic is one of those, he's very temperamental. And as much as I like him, I kind of dislike that about him. Meaning, I like how Nadal is just a steady guy. And Nadal can be playing terrible and somehow win. Whereas Djokovic, if he starts playing terrible, he sometimes bails out.
Who do you think will...
He gets on my nerves. I think he's going to win it. And I actually think that Djokovic, in my opinion, is the most talented overall tennis player to ever play the game. I mean, there's no one ever in the history of tennis as good as returner as him. I mean, he's a guy that can literally break your serve every time. I mean, good serves. You could be Kevin Anderson and John Isner delivering rockets, and he will break you. So there's something to that that's just incredible. And his endurance when he's hot, he's tough to beat. But his antics sometimes get him nervous, even though I'm a huge fan of his.
Who do you think will retire first, Nadal or Federer?
Oh, Federer, for sure. Federer's 37, Nadal's 32.
Oh, crap. That's a big difference.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
I thought they were at the same age, or I thought Nadal was a little bit older, but not what I was thinking.
No, Nadal's just been winning French Open since he's 20.
He's been around longer, has he?
I think Nadal might actually catch Federer because I think he's so difficult to beat on clay. So I think he's going to win 3-4 more clay. And if he just takes a U.S. Open here, a Australian Open there, I think he could catch Federer.
Not bad. And Tiger Woods joins the Ryder Cup. Are you surprised, or he deserves it?
Oh, of course. I mean, he's in first place after one round at BMW, shooting 8 under with Rory. It's going to be fun to watch, him and Rory at the top. And I think 1 behind is Justin, 2 behind is Justin Thomas. That's a fun leaderboard. Yeah, Tiger Woods. He's top 5 in 2 majors, runner-up at the PGA Championship. He's had 3 or 4 other top 5 finishes. Yeah, it's not like he was just giving it because he's Tiger Woods. He's since he's been playing this year, he's probably a top 10 player on tour. So yeah, Tiger Woods deserves it. Sure.
This is his moment to come back. Really excited about him and his situation in golf. Let's go for college predictions. Predictions actually in total because, did you watch the game last night? Eagles and the Falcons.
I didn't, so don't ask me.
Okay. Should I include NFL games in these predictions, or you don't want to talk about it?
Yeah. You can give me some NFL. Okay. You can give me some NFL.
Okay, this weekend, Portland State at Oregon.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Portland State was 0-11 on the FCS level last year. They just lost last week 72-19 to a non-Power 5 school. So just to give you a little history, this was supposed to be against Texas A&M. It was supposed to be Oregon versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M canceled last year.
Wow. So
they had to come up with a last-second makeup game, and the only one they could get is sorry, I got a notification for Tiger Woods. He's at the BMW. So whatever I say. But yeah, it's a blowout. They could beat them 90-0.
Okay. Georgia at South Carolina.
I think Georgia's too talented. They have too much offensively, defensively. I think it's a good game. I think South Carolina comes out emotionally charged and makes it a very good game at home, but I think Georgia wins comfortably.
USC at Stanford.
I'm going to take Stanford.
Wow.
It's at Stanford.
It's at Stanford, at Palo Alto.
Yeah, and I think Stanford's the favorite because of that. And I also think Stanford is just a little older. USC's been losing a lot of guys. They lost their starting safety, was suspended for 2 years. They had another safety, 2 safeties transfer. Right before the season, they actually lost one of their best wide receivers, was suspended for off-field issues. They also had their last year starting corner kickoff suspended indefinitely for off-the-field issues. So USC's had a lot of big guys getting in trouble off the field. They're losing a lot of people. And then offensively, their best players are true freshmen. They're great. JT Daniels is great. Armand St. Brown is a great player, but they're true freshmen. And I think just the experience of both sides of the ball, especially offensively with KJ Costello, and you saw Arcega-Whiteside just go off last week with 3 touchdowns. I think the experience of them at home, I think they beat USC.
There you go. Clemson at Texas A&M.
I think Kyle Field is one of the best places to play. It's going to be rocking. They looked great last week in their opening game, but I just think they don't have enough. I think the defensive line is going to just give them trouble. They're not going to really be able to run. I think they're going to get pressure on Kellen Mond. I don't know if Kellen Mond is quite going to be able to make the plays downfield that they need to make. And I think Kelly Bryant, Trevor Lawrence, and they just have enough offensively that I think Clemson wins the game. I think it's a game, but I could see it being something like 24 to 14 victory. I still think they're going to get a lot offensively.
It's going to be a tough away game for Clemson. And Arkansas State at Alabama.
Come on, dude. Alabama.
I'm throwing these curveballs at you. Let's go NFL, Houston Texans at the New England Patriots.
Where's it at?
At New England.
I think New England.
Pitt Steelers at the Browns.
Steelers.
Cowboys at Carolina.
Carolina.
Seahawks at the Broncos.
Seahawks.
Bears at Green Bay.
You really asked me this one?
Why not, right?
I mean, I'm what? Yeah.
Chicago has Mac.
They have Mac, but he's not. I don't think he's gonna be in shape. So I don't think he's going to really be a big difference in this game. I am interested to see how this young receiving core for the Packers is going to work out. They had some inconsistencies in preseason that I think frustrated Rodgers a little bit. The kid from Missouri, the receiver, you got St. Brown, you got I think Fig Penn's back at receiver. I'm forgetting the kid from Purdue who made some plays the last couple of years, Geronimo Allison. I think Adams, you got Devontae Adams, is definitely the number one receiver. And I'm also interested how they're going to mix the run game in. They have Jones. They have the kid from BYU. I'm forgetting names for some reason. So there's a lot of pieces to the Green Bay, but the skill position, they're young at the running back position. You got Ty Montgomery, he's been around, but I don't think he's a true running back. And at the receiver position, you're young. You got Adams coming back. You have Cobb. But, after that, kind of a question mark. Like, who are these young rookie receivers? Some guys are second-year players. Are they going to make some plays? So I'm interested to see. And I'm also interested to see the defense. I'm interested to see the young cornerbacks, Josh Jackson, Jair Alexander, Kevin King. They're drafted really high, all first, second-round draft picks. I think they have a lot of potential. I thought all three were tremendous college players. But let's see how it translates to the NFL. And can we get pressure on the quarterback? It's not a great offense for the Bears, so they should be able to get pressure off the edge. But we've had a lot of injuries when it comes to the front seven in the last couple of years with the Green Bay. But I just want to see I'm a Green Bay fan, if people can't notice. So
I have not noticed that.
I literally gave no background on any other NFL team, and I'm going on like a 3-minute spiel on I'm just interested to see. I just think you got a new defensive coordinator, you have a new defensive philosophy. I'm just interested to see. They have young pieces, they have young talent on defense, especially in the secondary, but they're young, so who knows? And the front seven has a lot of injuries. And I don't think there's any real true playmakers while in the front seven. And the same goes for our receiving core and running back. They're young. You got some talented guys, like the Moore kid from Missouri. He's a good talent. St. Brown. He's a good talent. They have another kid. I can't think of it offhand, but they have 3 receivers that they drafted. And they have some talent, but they had some drops. They haven't done a whole lot. So I'm just interested to see these pieces. You have the best quarterback, hands down, in the NFL history, in Aaron Rodgers. Not even comparable. So
you forgot to mention one person, Jimmy Graham.
I did forget Graham. And actually, because kind of what you're going to get from him. Obviously, he had a great career at Saints. Didn't do as much with the Seahawks. But he has Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. He's going to make plays. He's going to be good. Rodgers likes his tight ends, too. So... you know what you're going to get from Rodgers. I think you know what you're going to get from a Graham with an Adams, a Cobb. I'm a little interested to see how the running back situation works itself out. But you got some guys with talent. But I am interested to see how the pieces around Rodgers come together, because you know what you're going to get from Aaron Rodgers. You're going to get a lot of good plays. And all guys need to do is catch the ball and make plays. You run the ball and make plays. And defensively, are these young defensive backs as good as they're supposed to be? Is Kevin King going to be at the next level? Is Jair Alexander and Josh Jackson going to make those plays on defense? Because if they do, it's going to be a pretty good year for the Packers. I really have high hopes for the Packers this year. So as long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy.
It sounds like it's a good year for the Packers. They're setting up. The NFC's wide open. But we'll see what happens. And are you following the Le'Veon Bell situation at Pittsburgh?
He's still not playing, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So is he one of those Khalil Mack? They might eventually send him on the road, or how's this looking? I haven't been watching it very closely.
Okay, like the whole situation is that he's not playing until like the 11th week or like the 10th week, because if he gets injured, he doesn't get his guaranteed money or something like that, so he wants to play it safe unless Pittsburgh trades him or lets him go. I'm still following like the whole situation still, but we'll get back to it next week.
Okay.
Never mind.
Am I allowed? Am I allowed to bring up the bring up the political issue on this?
What, the anthem thing?
Well, actually, yeah, kind of. It is the Just Do It with Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, yes.
What do you think about it?
I am really surprised Nike did that. I think they should have been not too political with it. I mean, like, they're free, to do what they want to do, and if people want to boycott it, that's fine. But I think it was, I don't know why they did it. If it's just it doesn't really make sense, for me at least.
This is where I'm going to go on this. Do I agree with Colin Kaepernick, like, protesting the anthem? No. But do I understand the underlying message I think there was some hypocrisy that went around with some of his actions, but the underlying message that he was trying to be a voice for the marginalized communities and police brutality, and he was trying to make a statement. I do. And I understand how the black community, the African American community, has come and really been, like, supportive of Nike because of what Colin Kaepernick, quote unquote, stood for. And that underlying message, I do understand. I understand how the black community, with the incidences of police violence, with the instances of, and overall, the amount of African Americans who are incarcerated, there's just an unbelievably high percentage. And there is a systematic issue that goes much deeper than meets the eye. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And therefore, that message I understand. I understand how the black community says this is what's happening within there's so many of us, so many high percentage incarcerated, so many of us that have incidences with police. But I think it's a more systematic issue. It's just a deeper level, and to bring it to the surface has been good. To have it be addressed is good. Now, do I think it's been addressed in a positive fashion? No, I don't. I don't think protesting anthems is the right way to do it.
I agree. I mean,
but I think the issue does. I do think the issue has to be addressed. And for some people to say, like, just to be like this anti-Nike, anti-just do it, like, to just, like, push it aside and say, like, how dare they? And then they're not really listening to the real underlying message of what, especially the African American community, is trying to say. And we, especially as a white individual who maybe came from, at the end of the day, I had a 2-parent home. At the end of the day, I was not raised in abject poverty. At the end of the day, I had a family structure. I did not have the obstacles that a kid who possibly is born in the inner city in abject poverty, a father who's incarcerated, a mother who possibly could be battling with addictions. When I look at my own kids, and I look at a 3 and 4-year-old, and they have a mom and dad that loves them, that cares for them, that takes them to church, and I look at another 3 and 4-year-old who might not have a father there, that might have a mother that's going through addiction issues, that's living in abject poverty, that it lives like paycheck to paycheck, maybe doesn't even make it. I just think there has to be an understanding that is, in a way, an American tragedy. Whereas you would consider someone that has a mom and a dad and knows Jesus Christ and has that stability, is living in the quote-unquote American dream. Well, how about that kid who's in the inner city who doesn't have a mom and dad, who is living in abject poverty? That kid is not living in the American dream. And then he grows up frustrated at life because of the lack of opportunities. And then sometimes he might present that in a dysfunctional manner, has to be understood. And I think the white community in particular, and those to the right, especially the have to understand there's a deeper message than kneeling and trying to disrespect the flag.
Yeah, like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, my whole take, maybe, not protest during the anthem, maybe have like a minute, a moment of silence or something like that before or after the anthem, some type of, but not during the anthem. That's what I think it should be.
Yeah. yeah, it's just not the right way to do it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, So.
Yeah, which and like also maybe have like the NFL give more money to programs to help out inner city kids or inner city people that need help, and things like that. But we'll see what happens. NFL has not decided with the whole anthem policy yet. They're still talking with the players' union. We have not heard anything yet. They had a meeting on Monday, but nothing was conclusive. So we'll see what happens. But they got to make this, they got to make this a little bit more concrete. They got to figure it out this year because it's just no one kneeled yesterday. I think Michael Bennett just sat down at the end of the anthem, but nothing too crazy yesterday. So we'll see.
Okay. Cool.
Well, there you go. A little bit of out of the sport. Well, we're in sports, talking sports, but obviously there's issues in sports that that are personal. But it's good to talk
Political
about
sport.
it, and a little bit political. It's okay. But anyways, how can people reach you?
Same as always. TT Turner 2. Sorry, no, I always keep on forgetting.
You changed it recently.
Tyler Turner, Minneapolis, MTLS.
And you can
On
follow.
Twitter.
Awesome. You can follow him on Instagram and on Twitter. He has some great insight. And you can follow us on Sleon, SLEON. You can follow me that. And please subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, or on Periscope. And if you're on iTunes, please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. Well, Tyler, thanks for coming on to the Sportscast.
All right, thank you.